Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Thank you very much. The gentlelady from California, Ms. Lee, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ranking Member, and good morning, Mr. Secretary. Good morning. A couple of things I'd like to ask you. First of all, I've been working very closely with Secretary Becerra and your team at USDA to scale food as medicine, which of course is the integration of food-based interventions into healthcare to address food and nutrition insecurity. Given the growing demand of organic and regenerative foods used in food as medicine services, there's going to be a real need to develop the plan and invest in this transition from conventional farming. And so I'd just like to find out if you could briefly discuss how USDA is working to help improve the food as medicine initiative and coordinating with HHS. That's the first question. Then secondly, let me just ask you with regard to Cuba. Given the prior administration and now the Biden administration, in terms of our agricultural products and Cuba as a market, I know that Cuba would rather buy ag products from the ag sector in America. And I'm wondering how you see that evolving. Is there currently just a hold on any kind of exporting to Cuba? And what do you think is the path forward? And finally, just with regard to urban agriculture, of course, urban farms are incredibly important to my county, Alameda County, where my district is located. These farms provide food to people in need. They offer educational opportunities and create new economic opportunities in underserved communities. But the funding to start a new urban farm or improve an existing one continues to be challenging for many of my constituents. And so I'm wondering, I know the budget supports innovative community-based urban farms like the ones in my district, but seems like they're having a hard time accessing the funds. And I don't know if they need technical assistance or easier access to the funding, or how do you think USDA can make it more accessible?
I'm going to work backwards from the questions you asked. Actually, the budget that you just passed cuts the funding to urban ag, which makes it even more difficult than it was before. So you may want to take a look at how much money is being allocated to the urban ag office at USDA. That's the office that basically coordinates the FSA resources and the NRCS resources for urban ag centers. We have 17 centers. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar enough to know whether there's one in your district, but we've asked for resources to expand that beyond 17. Each of the 17 urban centers has an FSA office in place and an NRCS representative that can work with producers to try to determine. The other thing I would suggest is that you look at the Regional Food Business Center concept that I mentioned earlier, because that too can help farmers potentially think about ways in which they can create market opportunities for whatever it is they're growing. On Cuba, I mean, the reality is there's a significant impediment to trade in Cuba because of, I think, legislation that requires essentially payment in advance in cash in U.S. dollars, which makes it very, very difficult for a lot of ag trade to take place. I know that there are secretaries of agriculture and commissioners from states that go to Cuba periodically with trade missions with some limited success. It is an option. I mean, it's an island that basically imports 80% of their food. So there's obviously a market there. It's just a question of whether you can remove that barrier and make it a little bit easier from a business perspective to do business in Cuba. On food as medicine, there are three responses. One, we did and have increased our commitment to GusNIP, which is the program that basically funds the prescription medicine program with pediatricians. And encourages and incents fruit and vegetable purchasing as ways in which pediatricians in particular can assist young people with particular diseases and challenges that they face. You mentioned regenerative agriculture. That's one of the reasons why we established the Climate Smart Agriculture Commodity Initiative, take a look, have your staff take a look at that in terms of the state of California and the number of projects that are currently operating in that state and the producers that are involved and the partners that are involved and the universities that are involved. And then finally, we have an organic transition initiative designed to make it easier for people to be, if they wish to transition, to become organic producers. We also just recently announced, I think roughly 50 grants, I think it's right, 50 grants, market development grants to encourage more market opportunities for organic production, which would make supply more accessible. We're also working with some schools and the first partner in California to ensure that, that those resources are available for their farm-to-school program.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Secretary.